to the population ball game. The conversation here is about the number of people we appoint to the political arena. Because
in the political arena where? In which country?
I'm talking in Nigeria.
Of course, yes. That's why you can't pick it in isolation. You look at it holistically.
Just a moment. You have brought us to another issue. Every minister has its own security, his or her own security retinue. You know, right? And that also puts a prayer on the policing workforce that should serve the populace that you are also concerned about.
Are you aware that when someone is given a post, an appointment as a minister, a director of media, or whatever media, he has the office and like that, are you aware that the people you refer to as aides, as probably some of the people that are taken off from the labor market? Are you aware it enhances the security of the country because those people will not have time, to get involved in vices? Are you aware it's sort of, in empowering democracy? Are you aware it's about, trusting people who have probably not been opportune to exhibit what they are capable of doing positively, contributing to the building of the nation? Are you aware it's another avenue? So that's why I said it depends on the perception and the perspective.
Interesting perspective
sorry, Mr. Adu, please. You tried to make a comparison between political appointments to the ratio of police to citizens, the ratio of doctors to citizens,
That
and
is
all
not
that.
what I did.
Hello, please. There is not so much concerted efforts to make sure that this ratio is actually fulfilled. But when it comes to political appointments, it seems the government is more concerned. Doesn't this worry you?
No, you see, I'm again, having to look at it from another point of view. Are you aware today that the Police Service Commission is already recruiting, more police? They are in the process of recruiting more policemen to join, the workforce.
They are, but
No, I'm only saying, and are you aware they consistently do this because they felt they needed to meet up with the required standard? Are you aware?
Sure.
So we are not yet there. The country is not yet in Eldorado. We are not yet where we ought to be, but we are in the working process. This administration you are analyzing just came on board, and there's a lot of course, there are boards. If you're saying this, present cabinet is over bloated, what about the boards, statutory boards that are not, appointed? Are you saying they shouldn't go further in appointing people to such positions?
Mr. Adu, I like you once again to look at this beyond the prism of politics and partisanship. I like to know your honest view on this. How about concentrating on job creation to cater for these people you say they are taking off the labor market? Would that not really augur well much more for those people? Because if you agree with me, the maximum they will serve will be for 8 years if there is a re-election for their principal.
That there have been people who from the university, got an appointment as an aide, maybe an assistant, because of what they could offer.
Very well.
Maybe from the ICT world or whatever. And from there, they graduated to even becoming an honorable member in either State House of Assemblies or, Federal House of, the National Assembly. And from there, maybe to the presidency. So it varies. I'm not saying there's no job creation. But I'm saying before you come up and use, some grammars, like saying over bloated. And I put it to you, as the moment, you don't even know the number of appointees that have been appointed. And I'm asking, hold on, and I'm aware that there are still some statutory boards that are yet to be constituted. Are you saying what the Constitution says should be, pushed aside?
The Constitution says we should have 48 ministers.
No.
So what are we saying?
But we have ministers. And why was the geopolitical zones, why were they introduced? Why was the state multiplied? You understand? From 11 states, why was so it was just in a way of creating and making every section of the country
well, your point
belong.
is well made,
Okay,
Mr. Adu. I think we should move on.
Yes, maybe we should just move on. There is a tweet now online that is currently trading of an allegation that the the current trip of the Nigerian president and those that made the trip with him to the UN Assembly, in the US, they consume roughly 507,000 US dollars of taxpayers' money in just 7 days. I mean, was it necessary for the president to go with that number of people or make expenditure to the tune and $7,000?
I'm aware when President Jonathan was in charge in this country, the United Nations event that which he led Nigeria to have, to attend at that point, had the highest delegation. And this, looking at what you are making reference to, I am not aware that such is retained, at this, last. Then, who among those people that travel that do not have something, to do, over there? Then again, I don't know the source of that cost of, the journey.
Okay.
And because I don't like picking, just anyhow information from so much unverified sources on the social media. You agree with me that the social media had become a place to constitute, to a certain extent, to constitute a crisis, in our present world. And so, before I act on informations generated from the social media, it must have a verifiable source. So I don't know the source of such information. So, and I don't deliberate, waste my precious time deliberating, some fake information circulating on the social media, so that we don't popularize fake news.
Mr. Do your point is
from
well
the
made.
station.
Let's move to other issues. Oil theft has been one huge matter that's been depleting Nigeria's economic resources, and it's also been giving us huge setback in terms of economic prosperity. Do you see this administration as really committed to tackling that?
Well, the government has actually come up without mincing words that they were going to tackle it holistically, and I'm aware that there's a particular security outfit that was engaged, and which the present administration had decided to, probably continue with them. And the remarkable, difference and impact in arresting some organized criminals who have been involved in stealing, our fortune in this country. So I see this administration as an administration that is ready to actually nip it in the bud, if not outrightly eliminating, crude oil theft, but I see them as being able to reduce it to the merest, the barest, minimum.
I like to know what you've seen that gives you this confident assertion, because just a few weeks ago, it was reported in the dailies that there has been growing and heightened calls, even up to the Senate, making such call for a probe of communities, security agencies, and many other critical stakeholders in this mess of oil theft. And it becomes worrisome when you have security agents also coming to the limelight in such accusation and allegation. So what has government done to deal with such calls?
That's what I'm saying. That is the effect of government that I'm talking about. Because the private security arrangement that was made had been bold to have arrested uniformed security officers in this country who were supposed to be protecting, our national assets. Because the private security outfit had been given the wherewithal, the encouragement to stop the status quo from operating. It's a confirmation. I don't want to begin to mention, in specific terms, so that it's not, because I know it is not the entirety of that particular force, that is involved in that, but a particular, one or two, sketchy people, in their midst were arrested. It shows the no serious, and there were efforts to sweep it under the carpet, but the government did not allow, the old, scenario to be swept, that way. So it shows the government is actually working.
Okay, then let's see how the workings will of Nigerians in the coming days, weeks, and months. Now, let's pedal back a bit and come back to the issue of appointments once again. There has been many calls from certain quarters that the previous administration, the Buhari administration, was accused of nepotism, was accused of lopsidedness in its appointments, and the current administration, the Tinubu administration, some are also accusing it of Lagosnizing. That's the term they used. Lagosnizing appointments. That key issues of nation building and national development are being placed in the hands of Southerners, specifically and more especially Lagosians. What do you say to that?
Is the new LCC chairman from Lagos State? No, I just ask you. The man in charge of, do you know the value and the volume of blue economy? Is he a man from Lagos State? You see, let's just try as much as possible to inform the people and not misinform them. You understand? And when we should be able to correct, these people. Yes, it might appear as if, there might be one or two people, you understand, that of course came from Lagos. Is Lagos not part of Nigeria? When people, when appointment came from country, nobody,
Do you feel nepotism should creep into?
No, we don't. No, nepotism should never be allowed in the affairs of this country or in any, civilized, environment.
That's the issue.
I am not in support of, nepotism, but I am in support of, good service, qualitative service delivery. I'm in support of, do you know the irony of it? In the next 2 years, 3 years, plus or minus, it is the name of Asiwaju Bola Tinubu they will be mentioning. If he does well, good. I wish him, he will not disappoint. And if they'll mention his name. You understand? So if he feels, I trust one Cardoso to be able to turn around CBN. Don't forget that the private investigator that was employed or engaged to look into CBN's record is not from Lagos. He's an Igbo man. Are you getting it? So it's not about, I think it's not about tribalism, but the best hands that have been trusted, that have proven to be able to handle, some, areas must be committed into handling these things for national development.
Before I let you go, that's also this issue by the Minister of Health that's talked about the need to always save lives first in cases of emergencies, accidents, gunshot wound, and all of that. Now the concern is about states and private hospitals also keying into that directive. What is more that you think needed to be done to drive home this directive awareness?
Wonderful. I think the National Assembly needed to step in. It's not new. It's not just coming, for the first time.
Very well.
So it's not new, but there have been instances where, requests for for police report had led to the death, of some innocent Nigerians. Are you getting it? Even somebody who has been a suspect should first, be rescued. Because the whole essence of sending somebody going to trial and even after being convicted going to jail is not actually, to destroy the fellow, but rather, to rehabilitate and make sure the person turns, a better fellow. So I think the National Assembly should take up this challenge from that point, not just the minister saying it. Then, of course, they should look into the legislation to be able to see, the aspect that needed to be, upgraded so that this will be effective. And there should be agency should be in the forefront as well, so that, and they carry along all the, state house of assemblies, so that when they do that, it becomes an issue in the front burner that even all medical doctors, all hospitals establishments will be aware that if they fail to respond to treating any of such fellow, that they are even involved in committing crime.
Looking at just before we go, let me just ask, you are a journalist. now a politician. So,
No,
from
excuse
the
me.
wait,
I am a journalist.
from
I'm
both
still a
ends.
journalist.
Okay.
I still publish.
Okay.
I'm a publisher.
Okay.
And I'm involved in politics.
You
And
are
for
involved in
example, now,
politics.
don't forget that I'm not. There's no election now.
Okay, and
So
that's
it's
why I'm
administration.
saying from both angles now.
No, so
if you are
presently I'm a journalist.
From both
The
angles.
political participation, campaign
okay.
is
Your,
gone.
your point is
Okay,
well made.
so from
Let's
both
move on.
angles, if you were to assess this administration, the way it's been going about, all that, and from the hairs and eyes of the people too, would you, how would you score it? How would you rate it?
Oh, this is a very serious and sensitive, you know, assessment you are asking me to make. A government that came with every form of opposition, even when over 8 million Nigerians decided to vote and say this is the government we prefer. A government where there were organized citizens that tried to frustrate every of the effort to rubbish the reputation of the administration internationally, even as far as writing letters to the United States, president, writing letters to United Nations, making rubbish of the decision of over 8 million Nigerians. Oh, the best form of changing government anywhere is through ballot paper. Through democracy. And the people in the country have decided. So yet, there's that same government. Despite the falsification of allegations, the cook-up allegation of him not attending, CSU, and the CSU University, even in a law court, legally recognized, and declare that this is our product. And people were saying because of the typographical error of health, and the letter was addressed to Mr. Tinumbu, and because they saw F somewhere, as if NIN in Nigeria does not have problem, as if the national passport in Nigeria does not have, problem. That's the kind of administration we are assessing here. So the administration that is barely allowed to settle down to function. An administration that the ministers were just sworn in less than. In fact, as we speak, we still have, I think, 3 ministers that are yet to be, to be sworn in. So that's the administration we are assessing. But if you look at it holistically, I think this is an administration that you will see as a listening administration. An administration that has come up with, let us do this way, and people of the public have said, the Nigerians have said, no, we don't want it that way. That sharing, of poor or the poorest homes, we don't want that, and that program was suspended. So this is a listening administration. This is an administration I would tell Nigerians that they should prayerfully look up, to a moment of transformation. In less than 2 months, the minister in the area of interior has redefined our international identity. Our international passport. You knew how long it took you to get international passport. You needed to just, get in touch with them today and see the difference.
How long did it take me?
I'm sure it took you. I'm sure it took you not less than probably about 2-3 months.
Thank you so much
that
for
time.
your time on the program. Of course, I wasn't expecting anything less from a politician and journalist. Of course, thank you for the energy and thanks for making your views known on those critical matters of national development. He is a politician and a social commentator. Of course, I must not forget to add a journalist, otherwise he will still want to hammer that point. Thank you so much for coming.
It's a privilege being allowed.
All right,
to be
everyone, we thank you so much for being part of the program. It's been an interesting time having that beautiful jolly ride with you from my colleague.
Yes, you may not be able to change the world, but then you can change yourself and your circle. One step at a time. My name is Folashade Ogido.
I'm Sunday Kolawole. Let's do this again Wednesday morning, God willing. Please.